All right, let's get into it. We spend about a third of our entire lives sleeping, but so many of us feel like we're just bad at it. But what if the secret to waking up feeling amazing isn't about getting more hours? What if it's about understanding our own biology? Today, we're going to talk about how to master your sleep for some serious brain. So, does this sound familiar? You do everything you're supposed to do. You go to bed on time, you get those 8 hours everyone talks about. But when that alarm goes off, you feel like you've been hit by a bus. You're hitting snooze, dragging yourself out of bed, and just walking around in a total fog. It's a horrible feeling, right? And it's a huge sign that maybe, just maybe, we've been thinking about sleep all wrong. And this is where we need to tackle a huge idea that we've all been sold, the 8-hour myth. I mean, for decades, we've been told that 8 is the magic number. But the truth is, that's kind of like using a hammer for a job that needs a screwdriver. It's a decent guideline, sure, but it's not the real key to waking up feeling fantastic. Okay, this right here, this is the big shift in thinking. The old way is all about the quantity of sleep, but the smart way, it's all about the quality and, more importantly, the timing. See, that groggy feeling, scientists call it sleep inertia, isn't just about how long you slept. It's about where you were in your sleep cycle when your alarm screamed at you. Waking up in the middle of a deep sleep stage, it's like pulling the emergency brake on your brain. So, if it's not about the hours, then what is it about? Well, it's about your brain's natural, totally predictable rhythm. It all comes down to something called the sleep cycle. All night long, your brain isn't just switched off. Nope, it's incredibly busy. And it's moving through these different stages of sleep over and over again. You can think of it like a repeating playlist of brain activity. And each time the playlist runs from start to finish, that's one sleep cycle. Understanding this pattern is the first step to totally hacking it. And the most important part is this number, 90. On average, one full sleep cycle, from drifting off to deep sleep and back up again, takes about 90 minutes. This is the real magic number we need to be working with. Not 8 hours, but multiples of 90 minutes. This is the building block of a great night's sleep. So this gives you a rough idea of what's happening inside that 90-minute window. You go from light sleep down into deep sleep. That's where your body does a lot of its physical repair, and then into REM sleep, which is where you're dreaming and organizing memories. Now, the key is that at the end of each of these 90-minute cycles, your brain comes back up to a very, very light stage of sleep. That specific moment is the absolute perfect time to wake up. Okay, so knowing about this 90-minute cycle is cool and all, but how do we actually use this information to stop feeling like a zombie in the morning? Well, it's actually surprisingly simple. Here's the plan. You work backwards. First, figure out what time you absolutely have to wake up. From that time, you just count back in 90-minute chunks. Most people feel their best after 5 or 6 full cycles, which works out to about 7.5 or 9 hours. Then, and this part is super important, you add about 15 minutes to that time. That's your buffer for actually falling asleep. Let's make this totally real. So let's say you need to be up at 7 a.m. If we count back 5 90-minute cycles, that's 7.5 hours. That brings us to 11:30 p.m. But wait, remember our buffer? We have to account for the time it takes to fall asleep, so you want to be in bed lights out by 11:15 p.m. That tiny little adjustment means your alarm is now synced up with the end of a sleep cycle, making it a million times easier to get out of bed. Now, of course, this whole system works perfectly if you can actually fall asleep in that 15-minute window. But let's be honest, for a lot of us, the biggest enemy of sleep is a brain that just refuses to shut up. So we need a trick for that, too. I absolutely love this quote because it gets right to the heart of the issue. The second your head hits the pillow, your brain decides it's the perfect time to remind you of every single thing you need to do, every email you forgot to send. You know the drill. It's cognitive overload. And trying to hold all of that in your head just creates anxiety and keeps you awake. And the solution is so simple. It's a 2-minute brain dump. Before you even get into bed, just grab a notebook, set a timer for 2 minutes, and write down every single thing that's buzzing around in your head. Worries, ideas, your to-do list for tomorrow. Just get it all out. The simple act of putting it on paper sends a signal to your brain that says, hey, this is captured, you can let it go now. It's time to rest. So when you put these two things together, timing your sleep cycles and clearing your mind, you have a complete blueprint. This isn't just one little trick, it's a full system designed to help you sleep smarter, not just longer. And really, that's the big takeaway here. This entire approach is about shifting from fighting against your body to actually working with it. When you respect your brain's natural 90-minute rhythm and you give it a clear runway to sleep with a quick brain dump, you stop trying to swim upstream. You're just aligning your routine with your own biology. And the result? More energy, more clarity, and way, way better mornings. So, the only question left is, are you ready to redesign your morning? Take a look at your alarm for tomorrow, do a little bit of math, and just experiment with a new bedtime tonight. It might just be the small tweak that makes a world of difference.